that hustle, that push, 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 more, 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 it literally cannot work forever. Okay, my habit is jumping both feet in, which people are like, "You're so brave. Oh my God, I wish I was like you. You're just like so brave. You're not afraid to take a leap." I'm like, yeah, but I also fall flat on my freaking face a lot. And I have a lot of battle scars from that. And a lot of it was not necessary. A lot of it was like, hey, why don't you just think about that, have that intention of I want to do this, I want to change this, but you don't have to jump yet. You can give it a little bit of space. That doesn't mean you're procrastinating or being lazy or being afraid. It just means, how can I approach this in a way that is good for me, right? It's about understanding what has gotten you here and saying thank you so much. I so appreciate what's gotten me here. I'm proud of myself and my accomplishments, but what's going to get me to the next step? How can I get there in a way that feels good?
Let me tell you that I've had this dream since I was 13, watching MTV.
What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to Dreams Not Deferred. It's been a while. It's been like a week and a half or maybe more. My recovery from esophagitis has been up and down, so I've kind of like taken steps forward and then taken steps back because vocally I've done so much because it's September, which is my busiest month of the year, September and October. So kind of haven't been able to rest as much as maybe I should have. So anyways, I'm going to keep this short and sweet and probably be like every other week for a while until everything calms down. Still healing. Anyways, perfect time to talk about hustle culture and hustle in general. And I want you to think about this one line and hopefully get it stuck in your brain. What got you here will not get you there. Obviously, I did not come up with that quote. I'm not sure who first said it, but it's something you hear a lot. What got you here won't necessarily get you there. Okay, now certain habits and things we've picked up, right? Certain ways of working or going after something in life, whether it's career success, a relationship, a status, living in a particular place, whatever it may be. There are certain habits and routines that we have that work great for us, and they continue to work great for us. So, always, if something's really working, double down on it. Keep it moving, baby. If you're an early morning person and you like to get your workout done in the morning at 5 a.m., that will probably never be me, but more power to you. If it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what happens, especially with entrepreneurs and creative people, and this applies to other places in life too, weight loss, right? Financial stuff, just like when you are trying to reach a goal. Initially, you have the idea, you get excited about it, and you start to move towards it. You get to a point where you pick up momentum and steam, and you start hustling, right? You're going after it. You're making 100 phone calls a day. You're saying yes to every client and every opportunity that you can possibly get because you just want to keep building this momentum. You want a full book of clients, right? If you have a business, you want to achieve your goal as fast as possible, right? Because why not? Sounds fun. You want to lose 20, 30, 40 pounds, and you start with kind of a hardcore workout program and nutrition plan, and it's working. So you're like, hell yeah, I'm going to just keep on doing this thing. Maybe I'll even crank it up more, right? I'll put a weighted vest on when I run and go hard. Now, there's nothing wrong with the energy of, intensity, and consistency is great. So consistency is great. Intensity has its purpose. And I certainly utilized hustle and intensity and going all out and sometimes staying up late, sometimes getting up early and taking on a little more than I should have. And for a certain amount of time, though I did burn out from day one, like by the end of the year, I'd be so exhausted. It worked for a while, right? I got a full book of music clients and went full time a few years ago because I did that. I hustled, I worked hard, I spent a lot of time and effort learning and studying and then reaching out to people, saying yes to literally everything that came my way so that I could just be, full of opportunities. And I also always went above and beyond. I always did more than was asked of me for the most part. So I became like the most reliable vocalist, the most reliable songwriter, the one everyone can count on. And I appreciate that. And I love that because it's made me, um, not ahead of anyone else in that way, but just the go-to, right? So I get more vocal orders than a lot of other artists because of my reliability and my work ethic. Work ethic is great, but there comes a time when that is not going to move you forward anymore. I'm not saying that, okay, it's time to just sit back and do nothing. Obviously not. Come on, y'all. But that hustle, that push, 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 more, 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 it literally cannot work forever. Okay? If you ever read the book 10x is better than 2x, which I love by, oh my God, I think it's Dan Sullivan. I could be wrong, but 10x is better than 2x. He talks about how there comes a point when, you've doubled your workload, doubled your clients, doubled everything, right? And it's made you money. You've gotten somewhere, but now you're like, okay, I can't keep doubling what I have going on because I will literally run out of time, energy, resources. I won't have time to sleep. I'll just be exhausted, right? Basketball player can only take so many shots before their arm is so tired and sore that they could cause damage, right? You need rest. So if we hit a plateau at a certain point where we can't continue to just double up the work, go harder, right? What can we do? We need to figure out how to move forward. And the reason why this is so important is because so many of us are so burnt out. I'm making this because I have just learned this year, and I really think that all of the illness I've been dealing with this year has been, I know not everyone's woo-woo, so it's okay if you're not aligned with this, but I feel like it was sent to me to say, you need to make a change now. You cannot sustainably keep working like this. You can't keep pushing your voice and pushing your body like this for much longer. You're making good money, but you're not going to double your money like this, right? And my version of that was like, okay, well, how about I keep doing what I'm doing, keep hustling, keep going hard, keep grinding, because that's what you do, and start working on projects like YouTube channels, to start building up to eventually generating passive income, right? Which it's actually residual income. It's not passive income because there is work in putting out content. It's another form of work, okay? Fun work, and maybe it's less hard than what you already do, but point being, I still was in the mode of what can I do to expand, which isn't a bad thing, but it has a time and a place, okay? It gets you to where you need to be to start seeing some results, right? And get a momentum going. It's meant to get you to point B. But now if you want to get to point C, you need to create things that are sustainable. You need to create practices, routines, ways of working that help you to expand and keep growing, but at a pace and in a way that doesn't kill you, right? That's what I've learned the hard way this year is that I can't keep doing this. I can't keep, I have kind of a very, very slow spring, a medium summer. Summer feels nice because I'm working, I've got clients, I've got things coming in, but it's not crazy. And then fall and early winter is like a freaking poop show. It is insanity, and I feel like I can't even breathe. And then by the holidays, my body feels terrible. I'm exhausted. I'm always sick going into January, and it's not because, oh, everyone gets sick during the holidays because of the kid. No, it's because I'm exhausted. And again, I can't scale this. So maybe you're feeling this way too, and it's time to make a change, right? All of this stuff about hustle culture and grind and team no sleep, like it needs to stop. You know what? I take that back. It doesn't need to stop. It's just that we need to look at it in full context and understand that it is not meant to be your entire life 24/7. If it is, if you love that hustle, if you love that grind, great. But understand that if you want to be like a Tony Robbins is a perfect example of somebody who hustles and grinds and is like all about that constant movement. But he also has so many things in place to recharge and regenerate his body and his mind, right? He does meditation and affirmations. He has this whole practice. Not just that, but he also does like all of the therapies, the probably the red light, the I know he's talked about the cryogenic therapy. He's gotten all sorts of treatments and things, and he continues to do these things to regenerate, right? And rest. And same with athletes. LeBron James goes hard in the paint. Kobe Bryant, RIP, used to go hard in the paint. But they also went hard in the recovery department. So if you want to live that lifestyle and you love that fast pace, that's great. But understand that you also need to build in other ways of taking care of yourself. And if you're like me and you realize at a certain point, I like being busy to a point of like I'm never waking up and being like, I have no idea what I want to do today. I don't like that. I like to be productive. I like to be working towards something always. I'm definitely a hard worker. I don't even like that phrase because it means that, you have to always be grinding. But I'm somebody who likes to be productive. Let's put it that way. But I don't like the fast pace hustle lifestyle, right? Hence why I stopped chasing the becoming a famous music artist dream because I don't want to be on tour for 6 months at a time and constantly going, going, going because nowadays you don't get paid as a musician like you did back in the day off of album sales. Streaming sales, no. That's not how you make your money. You make your money on tour and outside of tour, merch, other things, events where they pay you to show up. Like you're just constantly going. And no, thank you. Hence why I love voice acting and I'm interested in doing on-camera acting eventually a little bit more, but I'm not chasing that, even though I love to act, because I don't want that lifestyle. I don't want to have to be like, oh, you're in Scotland for 6 months. That sounds amazing, but for me, nah. I love to travel, but I love to travel for like a week or 2 weeks at a time, right? So anyways, it's about understanding what has gotten you here and saying thank you so much. I so appreciate what's gotten me here. I'm proud of myself and my accomplishments, but what's going to get me to the next step, right? And you've got to take some time to kind of ponder that and look at, as we go into the rest of this year and moving forward, looking at your goals, how can I get there in a way that feels good? Not how can I get there as fast as possible, right? If you're in survival mode and you need to pay rent or your mortgage, sure, you may need to keep hustling. I've done that this year. There were times where I already knew, like, I've got to make a change. I've got to cut out some of these things I'm doing. I don't want to do certain projects anymore because they're not fun or they're exhausting, they're draining, and they don't even make as much money as these other projects that are fun and easy. But a couple months back, I was in such a tough financial spot that I was like, oh, this is not the time for me to make those changes. I need to keep hustling right now just to be okay. And then once I'm okay, right? Once I'm not in the danger zone, I can make changes. So, how I'm thinking about making changes personally, and I hope that this helps you, is evaluating the things that I really enjoy doing that yes, of course, when I'm doing it a lot or if I'm just tired, might still make me feel tired and drained here and there, but for the most part that fill me with either joy or at the very least okay, like I prefer everything to be super joyful and fun, but there are some projects where it's like, okay, this isn't my first choice, but it's cool. Like at least have a baseline of I am not absolutely drained and exhausted doing this particular thing every day, right? If you're doing a workout program and you get to a point where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. P90X and insanity for the average person is not meant to be forever. It's okay if you like that and you want to do it forever. Great. Nothing wrong with that. But for most people, you get to a point where you're like, these insanely intense workouts, jumping all over the place, doing tuck jumps, and you're damn near doing a backflip in the insanity workouts. And they're great, right? I did them for like maybe 2 years on and off. I'd go through cycles, but I am at the point now where I'm like, that doesn't sound fun at all. And I know that I can, now that I have a base of I lost the body fat that I wanted to lose, and I'm kind of just like maintenance and polishing and tweaking here and there, I know that I can do much more moderate workouts, a few days of like kind of heavy, medium to heavy strength training, and then a few days of like light, easy cardio. Yesterday, I walked for an hour on the treadmill so that I could listen to an audiobook and still get exercise in, right? So it's about finding sustainability and ways to grow that feel good to you. Look at all of the things that you're doing and just evaluate what feels good, what doesn't, and trust your intuition, my friends. Yes, logic is important, but so is intuition. Okay, because if you're stuck in logic, then you'll hustle forever because you'll think, well, more is better. So if I just keep doing this 5 hours a day and going hard, then I'll just get more and more money and more whatever it is coming into my life. But what if there's a better way, right? It's a good time to really evaluate for the rest of the year. How can I amp up the things that feel really good? Maybe you're not getting a lot of opportunities to do this thing that's like easy, effortless, fun, relaxing. But if you focus on it and you pull back a little bit from the hustle, you can grow that area, right? Looking for what opportunities are higher paid, less often, but higher paid, as an example. Bigger projects, that's what I'm going to be shifting into pretty soon with music stuff. I've already cut out things like dedication songs that I was doing for 2 or 3 years that paid me like $100 a song. Because it's not worth it. I'm not having fun. It's not enough money anyways, even if it was fun. Eh, Not fun and not enough money compared to other things I'm doing. No, right? It's got to go. I already cut that out. I've replaced that income with voice acting, thankfully, and I'm having so much fun doing voice acting. So for me, how can I get more voice acting in, right? How can I focus more on that and build that up so that next year I don't have to do any dedication songs, right? That's just an example. And it can be scary at first because you're so used to doing things a certain way that you feel like if you let go, something bad's going to happen. Just sit with that for a while. Don't jump into making a decision because my habit is jumping both feet in, which people are like, "You're so brave. Oh my God, I wish I was like you. You're just like so brave. You're not afraid to take a leap." I'm like, yeah, but I also fall flat on my freaking face a lot. A lot. And I have a lot of battle scars from that. And a lot of it was not necessary. A lot of it was like, hey, why don't you just think about that, have that intention of, I want to do this, I want to change this, but you don't have to jump yet. You can give it a little bit of space. That doesn't mean you're procrastinating or being lazy or being afraid. It just means, how can I approach this in a way that is good for me? Right? So if you're hustling, hustling, hustling in your work and your business and it's been working, but now you're exhausted and you can't keep growing at like this, then start experimenting. Start, in small ways looking at, maybe I can get more of these types of clients that pay more with less work, or it's less often, but when I do land these gigs, whew, they're so worth it and I get to rest in between, right? Just start putting feelers out there and experiment and make a plan slowly but surely. Don't jump right in unless you absolutely have to or you feel so called to and you just know this is the right thing to do. Don't be like me because I've jumped in so many times before I was ready and regretted it. Um, it's good to be brave and bold, I guess, because you're not afraid to change and to go after what you want, but you don't have to do it at 100 miles an hour because that's what I do. And then I hit a tree and I'm like, oh my God, I broke every bone in my body. That's how it feels. So, anyways, that's about it. I am going to rest now, speaking of not doing too much. I'm going to do a workout real quick and then I'm going to shower and I'm going to sit on my butt and do nothing for a while. Love you guys and see you soon.